All right, so we are going to kick off our Tuesday night show and share. This is a weekly tradition here at Knox Makers. Anybody's first time here at a show and share? One person. All right, welcome. But anyways, the Tuesday night meetings are a chance for people to show off stuff they're working on, stuff they finished, stuff they're stuck on, stuff they failed at. We welcome all projects of all types. And it just gives us a chance to commune in makerdom. So we have a pretty full list tonight, so we are going to get started with Joe, who's going to talk about Arduinos, walnuts, and acorns.
Now, as everybody knows about Arduinos, they're closely related to walnuts and acorns. Actually, we had our first class last night of the 8-part series. It was very chaotic. And only one person left, but they waited till the end of the class before leaving. Everybody else was hanging around. So my guess was that it went okay because, you know, they didn't all just run out as soon as the clock ran out. If you're interested in the Arduino, and I'm not going to go into the details of it, you can still start the class. I have a textbook, Arduino 101. It's the website, arduinoclass.com. You can get the Arduino 101 textbook by going there, and we did the first chapter, which just tells you how to set up the IDE and how to get the thing to blink a light. Then we'll start going into details next week. But if you want to take the class, you can still take it, and I'll get you started. The other thing is the walnuts and the acorns. I have no idea who else is interested in this, but I've always wanted to make acorn flour. The Native Americans apparently fattened up in the fall off of acorns, but you cannot eat an acorn. You have to leach the tannins out of it. So there's a lot of YouTube videos on how to do that. Also, this is the week to be collecting walnuts, and I just happened to have found 2 walnut trees and 6 chestnut oak trees within 2 miles of Knox Makers. And if anybody wants to know where they are, if anybody would like to go with me on a collecting expedition, I would be glad to have the company, because the last time I went, some homeless guy scared me poopless. He didn't really do anything other than say, "Hey, dude." But I was bent over 90 degrees picking up walnuts with nobody else around as he's walking by. And I'm going like, oh, I'm glad he was a nice person. And my unwoke presumption was he was homeless, so forgive me for that. But anyway, anybody interested, we'll set up a date and go pick walnuts. I picked 5 gallons, and I picked 3 gallons of acorns already, so just talk to me later. Any questions? Yes, Alan.
Real walnuts or black walnuts?
These, did you say real? No, these are black walnuts. Oh, and yet if you go, you need like industrial strength heavy gloves, and you wear clothes that you don't mind getting spots of brown on that will not go away. In fact, I'm surprised more fabric people aren't interested in just getting the husk, because a lot of people use it for dyeing yarns and the like. There's a lady back there going, yay, she does it. Okay, and my thumb, I had on gloves. I mean, I bought a new pair of gloves, and guess what? They're fabric gloves. Joe's an idiot. So I put nitrile gloves under them, and nitrile, it went through the nitrile. So the next pair is going to be some heavy duty, like, you know, dipping in acid type gloves. Question?
Are you going to bring baked goods made with your walnut and acorn flour?
I might, and because if nobody shows any interest, and I've stood up here and made a fool of myself for no good reason, you don't deserve it. Okay?
We're interested in hearing how it turns out. Very interested.
Okay, I will make all acorn flour brownies with black walnuts in them, and with no carbs whatsoever, because that's what I have to do to survive. There was another question. Okay, thank you. I'll clean up my mess here.
Thank you, Joe. I had a friend growing up who raved about his grandfather making acorn flour pancakes, so that might be a good experiment to do. Coming up next, we have Jennifer, who is showing artwork and jewelry. Jennifer showing artwork and jewelry.
There are actually two. Actually, I have three. Super nervous. I don't do public speaking, like ever. My former life, I was a nurse. I'm gonna try not to overshare. I became disabled 4.5 years ago. It sent me for a tailspin. I've been searching for me since then, and that's been difficult. I have tried art in various fashions. This was one of my fails. I think it is. The varnish I used was not the right product, so I don't like it. It's kind of a free to whoever wants it. My cheering squad is in the back row there. Show and share sort of thing, yeah. I am interested in woodworking because I have been stretching my own canvases. Buying canvases of this size is prohibitively expensive, and buying a bolt of canvas is much cheaper. So anyone that could help me with woodworking, that's kind of part of why I'm here. Stretcher bars, I can get those and do those, but buying lumber and cutting the finger joints and doing my own stretcher bars would be a lot easier. The stretching of the canvas lays me up for a couple of days because physically I can't do that sort of thing much anymore. So I'm working on the physical therapy side of that too. This is one of the canvases that I did stretch. It's not real fun. I get bruised palms from that. To stretch a canvas this tight, this is actually a very loose stretch. My second one came out a lot better. It's the first canvas I've stretched in.
What goes into the stretching process?
The stretching process, it has a, the stretching process has a pair of pliers that you brace against the edge of the stretcher bar. You stretch with one hand and you use a staple gun with the other hand to staple. You first stretch one side, or you don't stretch, you staple one side and then you go to the opposite side and center staple, then staple two on opposite edge. So it's kind of a process.
Are you having to use your muscles for the pulling, or is there like a leverage with this arm or the bar?
I haven't figured that one out. So I'm trying to figure that one out because I had 4 months of art school and high school art, and that's 35 some years ago. So this is all new to me. So figuring that out, this is my easel, but a gimbaled or weighted, counterweighted easel is something I'm interested in. So again, woodworking, that sort of thing, counterweighted easel that would help me with larger canvases to get the kind of emotional release. Larger canvases is the kind of thing that I'm inclined toward.
What's the counterweight, just weight at the bottom?
I actually didn't bring my phone up here, but I have a YouTube video that shows basically how to make one. So, but I'm interested in figuring out how to do that. Because this easel, yeah, but anything much bigger than this, it's going to be a little too much unless I sandbag the base. But, yes?
Would you mind talking about the content of your work?
Oh, yes, it's acrylic. I have tried oil painting, but the chemicals for the oil painting, I never really did oil painting, so I don't know the steps to figuring that out. So I did acrylic in high school, and so that's where I fell back to. Any other questions on the paintings? Yes? No, it just kind of whatever the paint told me to put on the canvas. Yes?
What is the theme behind the
There really wasn't one. Like I said, it's kind of what the paint told me to. I just started with yellow and just kind of went from there. Anything else about the art? Anything? No? All right, jewelry. All right. I had asked the young gentleman about the wax casting last time. When I started nursing, I also was doing jewelry. I did wax work, which was the wax carving side of it. The jeweler did the melting of the gold and then the casting part of it. So this is half of a yin and yang ring set that I did for Mother's Ring for myself. The other one is a yellow gold with a garnet in it, and it was carved out of one piece of wax, and then I separated the two rings by carving through the center. So yes, I have interest in jewelry making also. Any questions? Nope. Okay, thank you.
Very cool, thank you. Coming up next, Brian is going to talk about his hammock.
Don't get comfortable, Sean, I need volunteers. That side shows better on the camera? Yeah. Hey, everybody, I'm Brian. Those of you that may or may not know me. Hi, Brian. It's too long for me to hold both ends, obviously.
You want to switch so you can be near the mic?
I don't care what side you're on.
No, you can go near.
Yeah, all right. So, a nice big billowy piece of cloth here. I wanted to show you kind of relative size. I believe this one is 9.5 foot probably in total length. Bring it on up here. Somebody left a Coke up here. The material itself, you can kind of see a little bit of a pattern in it. It's called Hex 70. It's a pretty durable material. This stuff will hold 400 pounds without a problem. That's one of the materials that I kind of toyed between this and some of the other nylons and went on with this. It's also called Hex 70, and this is the XL, so it was a little bit wider. A regular bolt of material is about 60, 65 width. And this was about another 9 or 10 inches wider, so which made for a wider hammock, which I like also. All of the seams all the way around it, I went ahead and I used our industrial machine and triple stitched them with some T70 nylon, very strong. I mean, that's the kind of thread you would use doing anything industrial or heavy duty webbing, that sort of thing. So it's going to be super strong there. I used a material that's a type of iron-on double-sided adhesive and I bought it in a 1.5 inch width. So you put it all along one edge, tack it, fold it over, tack it on that side, and that gave you a nice, good, crisp 1/2 inch seam. And I folded it over one more time, so it's folded over 3 times in total, and then did the sewing. So every one of my seams is done that way. On the end, it has this hank of AM steel. It's 8mm AM steel. Alone by itself, this stuff is certainly strong enough to tow cars. It's a bit overkill. So I like the idea of overkill. I'm not hiking in great distances with it, so I wanted it to be strong. So it is like fed into itself, and then the tails are hidden inside the braid. Makes you a continuous loop, and then of course the loop just, you know, slides through like that to cinch up the sleeves that you make on either end. And that is your basic hammock, like any of the E&Os or the Hennessy's or any of that, other than special features that they might put on them. That is your basic hammock. Simple design, not bad to make. Nice thing there is, you know, when you're out camping, you're like, what kind of hammock you got? Oh, I made that. So, which was my overwhelming desire to make this one, because I've already got all kinds of others. Yes? That would wind up being a tarp that you would use overhead, you know, and almost everybody uses a tarp when they camp, yeah. It's a rectangle. No, it's completely rectangular, just the ends are all gathered at the end, yeah.
Do you put a piece of wood across the front and back?
No, it just, that's a different style of hammock. I've seen that, but I don't use one like that.
You just hang it from the ropes there and just have the pocket there?
Yep. Yes.
Did you put any type of webbing or anything in the seams, or is that just?
No, they're just folded over 3 times and then triple seamed, so they're quite sturdy. Any others? Yeah.
How much over 400 pounds will they think?
I don't know. You know, they rate these things. They've got to put a number on them, and I'm sure they thought that was a safe number. How much over that? I don't know. I mean, if I was worried about it, I would double the fabric up, you know, and just make it twice as thick.
I was just wondering, because I'm 460 pounds.
Right.
I usually put my stuff in the hammock with me.
Right. Yeah. All right, well, you guys come on down to the fiber arts area and come make one yourself. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do over there. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Up next, David is going to talk about some DAL-E creations.
Has everybody heard of what DALL-E is? It's an artificial intelligence assisted drawing program. And I found out about it a couple of weeks ago. I've played with some of those in the past, but this one looks a lot better than things I've seen before. And one night I was out here doing some laser cuts, and I started playing with that program, and before I knew it, I created like a little book of some of the art. So. Let me flip to some of these at the end.
Are these all the prompts that you did?
These are all like this one. That program, what you do is you put a text description in of what you want. And what I tried to do, I was creating some strange things, but you can create logos or things in any style that you want. I was using styles of people that I liked, and this one was, I think my description was, Mushroom Man smoking a pipe in the style of Vincent van Gogh. And it actually inserted Vincent van Gogh in there too. I didn't tell it to do that, but some of these other ones were alternates that created from that same description. It creates like 4 for each. So all of those came from that description. But it gives you 50 credits to play with, and each of those generates 4 images. Let's see, some of these were a different style. I did some in a, like this, Salvador Dali style, and Aubrey Beardsley illustration. So basically you can just describe it as well as you want and play with it. You get 50 credits, and then every month you can get 15 more, or you can pay for more. But once you get the illustrations or your pictures generated, you can use those any way you want. They still own the license to it, but they give you full access to use it so that you can do whatever you want. While I was out here, I created some, I took some of those images just to see what they would look like if I laser cut those. And so these were a few of the images that were, I just took the image and didn't modify it and just laser cut it. So I think it's a great tool to play with. I just wanted to show it. Yeah. How did I make what? The book, Vistaprint. Vistaprint just, it was expensive. I think it was about $30 for that little book. And I was thinking, this is indulgent, I guess. What now? What? Oh, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, but, you know, it lets you do both sides of the book. So I actually made it into a little book. And yes, there's those. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to pass these around. Okay. But yeah.
Thank you very much. And if you have the notion to mess around with some AI-generated art and you don't want to mess with Dolly, there is a channel within our Mattermost that has a bot that'll do something very similar. So I encourage you to go play around with that. It's pretty fun what you can get. Coming up next, excuse me. Coming up next, we have Natalie, who is showing a dress.
Hi, I'm Natalie, and recently I've been sewing more. I've sewn in the past, but recently I've been sewing a lot more. And so I did this Cinderella dress just for fun. No true reason, but here's some pictures of it. And I brought it. So this is the top. And so to get the pattern, I just looked up some pictures of the dress, and then I just kind of drew it out and then made it to the right size. And then, yeah. And then this, I think it's called a Bertha, I'm pretty sure, like this fluffy part. And so to get that, I took I think it was 2 layers of tulle and 1 layer of chiffon, and I sewed them into a tube and then just kind of sewed it around. And I started doing it on the machine, but it was a little thick for it, and so I did a lot of it by hand. And then there's just some elastic on the inside. And I did sew boning channels, but I did not end up adding boning just because I didn't have any and I didn't want to go get any. So for the skirt itself, I bought a hoop skirt, just a cheap one I found on Amazon. And so that's where most of the poof comes from. But can you hold this up? So I do have 2 layers of the skirt. And so this is the bottom layer, and it's a 3/4 circle skirt. And then for the tulle, it's a few layers of blue tulle and then 1 of purple tulle, just to give it some more colors. And that's basically that layer. And then for the top layer, where all the color comes from, some more to this one. The bottom layer is this. I don't know what it's called, but it's just shiny, so I thought I'd use it. And then this is a layer of chiffon and then tulle, and each of those, it was 5 yards, and I just gathered it and added a waistband. So, yeah, that's really it.
How long did it take?
I don't really know. I didn't buy all the fabric at once, and so I'm not 100% sure.
6 months, a month, a week?
Probably about just a couple months max.
Yeah, 1 or 2 months overall. And that's like taking a few breaks in between buying the fabric. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Pretty magical. Thank you very much. Last on my list that I have is Logan showing a tile image viewer.
So if I find, I think it's input, yeah, 3 for this. Which one is it?
Three.
Is it bottom or top?
Top, I believe.
No, it's switching. Oh, yeah, that's it. So it's swapping. I did it before. Now 3. Something like that. Trying to get the HDMI in. Awesome. Thank you. Cool. Let me just make sure that, actually, that's fine. Awesome. So, hi, I'm Logan King, and for this week's project, I've been working on it for a while, but I thought I would show a tile image viewer I've been working on. Tile image viewers are a technology similar to what Google Maps uses, where instead of downloading the entire resolution of the Earth all at once and then your computer figuring out how to render it, it only streams the content necessary at the time, or the images kind of at a certain resolution and depth. So if I start running it here, let's see. This is the Hubble Legacy image, which is about a 24,000 by 24,000 pixel image, which is usually too large to render very nicely with normal, just your computer would have trouble opening it normally. But as you can see here, I can zoom in pretty far and we have all this resolution. And this level of resolution is everywhere in the image. You can see kind of far out. If I enable something, yeah. So let's see.
Zoom and enhance.
That's the point. Yeah. Yeah, so I've enabled the debug mode where you can see the individual tiles being rendered, and the LOD is in the top. So the idea here, I have a moon example that might work better for this, but there's different levels of resolution to view the image at. So each square here is a 256 by 256 pixel image, and I just distort it to be as large as I want. But as I zoom in, it streams in higher resolution images, but only in the section that I'm trying to view. So I'm never viewing too many. In the top left, you can see rendered tiles is 6, and if I zoom in all the way, you'll see it's just 1. So now I'm only in memory, I have only one texture. And to show kind of how that's working, I have this GIF of a demonstration. So you can divide, this is kind of showing the layers. You can divide one big image up into tiles, and then for different, if you want to zoom out, you can view them all by kind of taking 4 tiles and combining them into one, and then making different layers out of that, which is kind of how this project works. And to show you the moon, for instance, is a different image, but these are all 256 by 256 resolution images. They're not that large. If I zoom in, you can see the pixels. But you'll see that it's kind of divided up into 4. And if I actually go render that, you'll see that when I'm all the way zoomed out, I'm in LOD5, which is this folder, and you can see there's only 4 images being rendered. And then as I zoom in, I'll start using this tile set, which is kind of higher resolution, and divides it up into more slices. And it's kind of the same thing until you get down into LOD0, which is the highest resolution I have, and it's just the original image sliced into, in this case, 2,700 different tiles. So that's how you can render large images without kind of overwhelming your computer at once. And yeah, I also have, for the gamers out there, this technology can either be used to render super resolution images, or which have no real size limit, or maps, which I already mentioned it's used in Google Maps. But here I've pulled up a semi-well-known Minecraft server, and this is kind of a map that some users have made. And disclosure, I haven't viewed every kilometer of this, but you can see that kind of you can use this to view maps as well. And I have the ability to put items on top of maps, so you could either put player faces or signs or whatever, but I don't have that ready for this demonstration, so that's kind of where it's at. Questions?
What got you interested in this?
I don't know. It's been a few months since I started working on it. I'm not sure what originally started. I guess I got thinking about tile image viewers, Google Maps. I saw some various other like map programs for worlds or like games that were too large to view, and I thought that, you know, that kind of is an interesting project. And I started to get into Rust and wanted to try, I don't know, I was fooling around with the game engine and saw an example where people were moving around sprites. And I realized, I guess, that if I could find a data set to play with of an image divided into tiles, and I could, you know, group them together and kind of do this project.
Do you have a code that will take one large image and automatically develop different levels of its light?
Yes, I do. I'm not going to show that here today, but I have it working. And you can feed it an image and it will divide it into super resolution. I actually, a few sessions ago, I presented CodeViz, one of my projects to render code to an image or repositories. And the Linux kernel is usually too big to view, but you can slice it up and render it with this. I don't have that working today. I'd need a little more RAM to render it than was on this machine, but I have it working elsewhere, and it's interesting. So, but there's a lot of resolution stuff. Any other questions? Let's see. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. Here you go. I'm try to put it back.
We'll take care of it. All right. So that was the last show I have on my list. Was there anybody else that I missed or had anything to show? Yeah, over there. Okay.
Sorry. So in my never-ending project to make a chip guard, and this has taken a lot longer than I thought it would. Let me zoom in here a little bit. I think last time I presented, I showed the frame that I had made. So I went to the scrapyard and got some big sheet of galvanized steel. It's about 40 thousandths thick. I then took some cardboard and cut it out to the shape that I wanted. That's a little bit too much, maybe. And got some cardboard and folded it up to the shape that I wanted for the chip pan, and then cut out that same shape in the sheet metal using a saber saw. Then you can see here me trying to fit it, and you'd get it all up underneath there and it wouldn't quite fit, and I'd have to go fiddle with it to get it working right, and cut out little pieces like that. So then we've got, and I finally got the whole thing fitted. Sorry. So there it is underneath there. And then if you come around, you can see it hanging out the back. And right now it doesn't have any support on the back side right there. It's just hanging from where it's bolted. I'm showing it up here, right there is where it's bolted on the front. So then I got it painted. Then had my son, and we started reassembling the whole framework, because I had to take the framework all apart to get that chip pan up underneath there. So then reassembling that whole frame. Then, so there it is all put back together. And you can see I have the frame holding it on the front. This part here is bolted to the lathe, and then it kind of runs underneath, hooks into that frame, which then goes up to the metal arm, and that's kind of where it's anchored. Then I printed out all of these things, which are going to snap onto those vertical uprights to then let me screw my sheet metal to it. And then spent a lot of time this last week trying to get that stuff bent to the right shape and cut. And it's a whole lot harder than I thought it would be, because you got to get the holes in there just right and to get everything aligned. And then I would get the whole thing together, and I'd realize some other part needed to be in front of or behind the other thing, and I have to take a whole bunch back apart. But my last picture, and I'm getting close to being done. So that's what I've got done so far. I still have my wing pieces to go on each side. And I've done a bunch of scraped up of the metal. I've got to go back and touch everything up where I caused some stuff. But anyway, that's what's been keeping me busy. Any questions?
What's the purpose of this piece that you're doing?
So when you're working with a lathe and your part is spinning and you're putting your cut, a lot of times the chips go flying everywhere. And most modern lathes will have something that kind of catches that. And this is a really old one, so everything would just fall on the floor. So this is a way of kind of catching all that. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to show? Oh, great. All right.
Hello, I'm a new member. I'm Caitlin. I have been working on some fun stuff, and I just wanted to share with you. It's not quite done, so this is a process post. But first, I wanted to share and shout out to one of the members who helped me with my pottery wheel. This is the underside of a pottery wheel. Oh, how do I do that? Oh, down here? Okay. Plus, so you can see that there's a motor right there with a cone on the end, and that cone hits this wheel that makes the wheel on the wheel head turn on the reverse side of this. And Bob, I didn't get his last name. If he's here, raise your hand. I don't think he is. But he was so nice. He came in on a Sunday and helped me look at my motor because it wasn't working quite right, and he helped me get it going. So I just wanted to shout out to him about that. That was awesome. Sorry.
Is that a pottery wheel where you put your clay on and it spins it around?
Yeah, so that wheel is on its side. That's like the underside of it, which I should have gotten a better picture of it. But we went over to the metal, or what is it called? Mechanical machining room, and there were so many awesome tools, and everything was so organized. It was great. Okay, So then the other thing I'm working on right now that's a little more fun are some Halloween decorations. And I was actually just in the woodworking area before this meeting, cutting some PVC pipe for it. But I did remember to take a few process photos, not a lot, but this is one of me in my living room. So it's based on, I'm using pool noodles. And that whole container, this whole container here was full of pool noodles, probably like 50. And I'm wrapping them in duct tape here, and I'm watching Dragula here. And so there's more wrapping, I don't know. Oh, these are all the stickers from the pool noodles. Oh, I used a hot glue gun to roll them into a tight swirl. And then I made one of those. So I did one fully, and then I have a few more to do. So those are all of them that still need to have sticks and wrappers and ribbons, but and that's what I was making tonight with the PVC pipe. So hopefully next week I'll have like a picture of them all in my yard looking cute. I think that's it. Let me just make sure. That's it. Happy Halloween!
For anyone who wants to show their Halloween For anyone who wants to show your Halloween decorations at a show and share, you will have a captive audience here, that's for sure. All right, that is all the names and everybody who wanted to show tonight. So as far as announcements go, we found out this week that you should not run laser cut items through the table saw because the carbon will conduct electricity and set off the saw stop. So that is just an announcement, general. So FYI, maybe don't do that.
Put it in bypass.
Or put it in bypass if you have learned how to do that. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Or if you just have $150 to spend, you can also just run your stuff through there to your heart's delight. So coming up later this week on the 13th, we have a new members onboarding at 7 p.m. That is required. If you are a trial member, you must attend a new member onboarding before you can become a full-fledged member. So that is an opportunity to attend one there. And also, if you are not a new member and just want to attend, all people are welcome. On the 15th at 1, there is a class for Let's Make a Horseshoe Pumpkin. And are you teaching that, David? Yeah, so that'll be it's a class learning how to make decorative metal items, a pumpkin for the season. On the 16th, we have our virtual board meeting online, and that's at 2 p.m. And that's all the events coming up this week. So with that, we're just going to open up the workshop and invite you to join us for Open Hack and just hang out and talk and look around. If you have any questions, come see someone with a red badge, and thank you for coming. Oh, yeah. If we can get hands for helping take out trash and change air filters. Trash duty, air filters. Air filters, we got one. So, so we'll be doing that after this as well. But thank you for coming, everybody.